Welcome back to another episode here on Mountain Men Axes, and today we are going to take a look at a handle axe comparison versus modern and vintage. So we will go back in time and take a look at the vintage axe handles of past, and then take a look at what now is available at the retail box stores today. So let's go ahead and start with our modern handles, and we'll take a look at what Granger has to offer in their form of replacement single bit handles. So when I went to the store, I was able to find two options: a 36-inch double bit and a 36-inch single bit axe handle. This is a link replacement handle, and this is what Granger has to offer. And this is a 36-inch axe handle. It starts oddly, it's very thin through here, and it's got a very odd shaped palm swell that is not even. So as you look at it, it looks like the axe handle's crooked, but it's where the palm swell is. So that throws off the aesthetic. But it's very thin through here, which is fine. And actually, that's one of the reasons I bought it, is I liked the feel of the palm swell. But we have a very thick start right here. And a lot of companies do this thinking it's gonna help with overstrike protection to have more material. Maybe the case, maybe not the case. I think the quality of the hickory makes the most difference, the density of the hickory. This had lacquer on it when I purchased it, varnish, so that was something I had to take off. Now let's look at the vintage comparison of a 36-inch full-size single bit from a box store or a big name brand. So this right here is going to be your original bluegrass handle. Had the sticker right there. This is a 36-inch. It, unlike that link, is not super thin here, but it's got a really nice curvature to it that comes out here into a nice palm swell, good flat area to half the head width, and then it actually gets thinner as it goes up. So unlike the link handle, this gets thinner as it goes up, nice and straight. It's got good grain orientation, but also has a good feel to it. It's very oblong, so it's not super thick. It's wider this way, almost similar to the Australian racing handle that I have from East Coast Lumberjack, but it's thinner this way, so it's more of an oblong shape. That's this thing is a fantastic splitter. I put a paper label Tasmanian, it's a high test Tasmanian axe head on it, and this thing really splits like a champ. I mean, it's got a great profile. I did not want to put metal wedges in it, but I needed to. So now let's take a look at what Lowe's has to offer in the form of double bit axe handles. So they also only have two options at the Lowe's that I went to that's near my location, and it was as far as wooden handles, and that was a 36-inch double bit and a 36-inch single bit. This is a form of their 36-inch double bit. Now, I'm not sure who makes their handles. I think they may make their handles. I'm not 100% on that. Didn't have any labeling on them. They just have the staple in the bottom. The palm swell hardly exists. It's essentially the same size at the bottom as it is at the top. So it remains the same all the way. It's just like a solid piece of hickory. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I don't like that it remains the same and doesn't have any thickness change from here to here. There's really nowhere, there's no, orienting this. You can't get a grip and then feel and say, okay, well, this is this side, this is this side. It all feels the same, and I'm not a fan. So we've seen now the two versions of the modern axe, let's take a look at what the vintage axe handle market is. Now, before we do that, let's take a look at, now I do have a semi-modern form of a 36-inch straight handle here. And I believe this is a Link. So this is a 36-inch straight handle from Link. Somebody had tried to hammer on a jersey pattern, you can tell, and didn't get very far with it. Jerseys are not my favorite thing to have, so I understand this. But now let's take a look at, I believe this was a Tatum due to the shape of the sticker there, a Tatum handle in comparison. So this as well is 36 inches as to this. So really a much, much thinner pattern. Let's check out that palm swell. It's there. It's there. It gets thicker at the bottom. And so let's put the modern one down and really just take a look at this. So we've got a palm swell that swells out in all areas, in all directions. We've got a good grain orientation, okay? And we've got a handle that, let's face it, has lasted probably 30, 40 years, 50, maybe 50 years. I don't know. I just know it's a vintage handle that production stopped probably the 80s. So very, very impressive that this handle has made it this long. It did have some overstrike damage on it when I received it. That's something I tried to remove. I do believe I'll be able to rehang a handle on this or a head on this. I just need to find the right one. Super thin and whippy. I mean, I love this thing. That's why I've held on to it. So I do have a True Temper. So this is a older True Temper handle, a 36-inch straight handle. And we're kind of left, wanting a little more in the palm swell area with this one. It's thinner than our Link, and this also still has varnish or lacquer on it. Neither of those that I just showed you had anything on it other than maybe some oil. But you can see the thickness difference from the Link to this, the True Temper. So it seems as they progressed in axes and axe handles, they just kept getting thicker and thicker and thicker. So let's take a look at a boy's axe handle from a vintage era. And this is going to be a New England pattern boy's axe handle that was on a plum that I bought, a vintage plum. So this is one of my favorite axe heads to begin with. Got that square label, plum, Dayton. Okay. Now, let's take a look at that handle. You see how thin that is? And this handle has definitely been around. It's got sap on it. It's got cuts on it. It's got bruises on it. It's got character that shows me that this was a handle that was used. Now, let's take a look at the grain orientation on this. Wow. Not really fantastic. But look at that palm swell. That's what Whiskey River is calling the New England pattern. So, as an example, here's Whiskey River's NEC, 28 NEC. So, that looks a little familiar, right? Only difference is Whiskey River's is still thicker. So we're still seeing that progression in thickness carry over. Now, on my NEC that I purchased from Whiskey River, I hung a main wedge pattern on it, Snow and Neely. This head came with this handle, and all I did was rehaft it with a purple heartwood wedge and a little barrel, little conical wedge just to kind of seal the deal. I didn't want to go anywhere. I definitely don't want to lose this head or damage this handle. So I have used this, but it's not a user. It's not one that I'm taking out in the field. That just, it flexes. I mean, as I do that, it flexes. So this thing is definitely an example of a whippy handle, something you can take around and just clobber stuff with. You could split, chop, delimb, do whatever's necessary with this handle. So I think in the boys axe arena, not only is there a huge gap in the market right now, but I think that the vintage era boys axe handles kind of, are the best, bar none. There is no comparison. Okay. So I'm going to put this up, and now we're going to take a look at a new age council tool handle that you would get if you ordered a council tool axe today. So, I don't know what they're selling today, but in 2022, this is what they have on their jersey pattern. Okay, so this actually is a resemblance of similar to the bluegrass, just it doesn't have the thickness in the palm swell. This suffers the same fate a lot of the 1980s axe handles had, and that's just no palm swell, just flat all the way down, hoof here, and that's it. Now, it's a beautiful handle. It's a salt and pepper handle, so it does have heartwood in it. It's got the grain going this direction. It's a little off. As a matter of fact, it's a lot off. It's completely off. But in my eyes, it's a beautiful handle. It does have some run out in the back. Not sure if you guys can see it. But I do like this axe. This is a very, very nice axe, and it gets work done. This is my go-to when it comes down to doing work that maybe might damage the axe. So it doesn't bother me to get this out because I can buy another one. It's not going to matter. All right, let's put this up and take a look at what you get if you buy a Buckin Billy Ray axe handle. That's a modern handle. That's something you can buy here today. You get a oblong handle that's thinner when it comes to your, what I'll call the x-axis, and this the y-axis because the head points this way, so your y and your x. So when it comes to your x-axis, it's a little bit, thinner than what you would get normally, but you do have a wider or more oblong axe shape here. Now, palm swell wise, you're not going to get a better palm swell than a Buckin Billy Ray palm swell because he, as he states, stays down here, lives down here. So that's what you're getting with a Buckin Billy Ray palm swell is the whole nine. Whiskey River will give you a good palm swell too, and they'll let you kind of shape it how you want. But with a Buckin handle, you get that's a comfortable place right there. It is a little bit longer. It sticks out, but it's great for hafting your head, and it's just great to hold on and just let it swing. So what I did was I took my bluegrass off the bluegrass handle, and I hung it on a Buckin Billy Ray 31.5-inch special. So this is a bluegrass jersey with the, as Plum calls them, jet wings, but bevels. Once again, with the conical wedge. I was able to actually get this in a somewhat closed hang, which I fought with the whole hang. This, trying to get a jersey pattern, right? You see how they're set back and this is fit down? Trying to get that isn't an easy task. A lot of times jerseys want to sit straight up and they want these wings in the center of the axe handle. And it's hard to get a good hang if you want a closed hang with a jersey. But boy, does that look good. I mean, that's a friggin' sharp looking axe. Not only is it a Buckin special, but it's also a bluegrass with the bevels. So I love this one. All right. So we've seen what Buckin Billy Ray has. We've seen what you get with a vintage axe handle. Let's see what you get with Whiskey River. So if you go online right now to whiskeyrivertrading.com, you can purchase as they call it, a premium axe handle. Well, it's a premium heritage lined axe handle. And what it is it's a copy of a blank lathe that they had from older handles. So this would have been a French curve vintage handle. And it is thin. These are thinner handles. It moves. It's got a good palm swell. It's got room for improvement. This could be, so the back could be lower. That could be taken in a little bit. And I think even should be taken in a little bit. Because your hand really grips. I mean, the front, if you want to wear your forearms out and just use your fingers the whole time, you can. But there needs to be something for the palm of your hand to catch. When you're really swinging an axe all day, the palm of your hand, if it's just coming right off and has nothing to get it, then your forearms are going to get tired quick. And what I did is I took a handle that I got from them that was bent. It came with a bend in it, and I messaged them long after the warranty period and said, "Hey, I know my options are limited, but what can you do?" And I mean, I've heard and had my own. Everybody's had their own issues with everybody, but Brandon sent me one out immediately. He even with it being outside the warranty period was like, done. One's on the way, and so awesome of him. What I did is I took the one that was bent and I hung my 4.5 pound Grants vs. Brooks on it. This is a very heavy axe head. It's an overweight axe head to begin with, and I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. So, but this is what you get when you get the Whiskey River Premium Heritage Line French Curve. It's very thin. If you get the A grade, most of the time you will get pretty perfect grain orientation. So right there, you can see your grain orientation. If we were to cut this off, it would all be straight. You can see the back, how you've got those lines. That's the wood grain going all the way up. So you can see that the wood grain is straight on these A grade handles. So let's go ahead and put that up. Now, by some miracle, I actually happen to have what you would get in Australia for a vintage handle. Back in the 1970s, maybe 60s. So right here is your Australian spotted gum vintage handle. This is actually probably 60s, maybe even 50s, because this was on a Satyr Banco Tasmanian, and I know that Satyr didn't stick around into the 80s. So right here you have, a fairly thick profile, on your X. Your Y is thinner, so it's not as oblong as some of the other axe handles, but it's thicker width-wise. But when it comes to spotted gum, it is one of the most dense woods and it's a heavier wood. This thing, there's no flex at all, period, in this. The palm swell, what you see is what you get. I mean, it's nothing to write home about. I had to take a little bit off here because it cracked, so don't judge it harshly there. So this side is what you would have gotten. This is a side that's not been messed with at all or modified. But there is room for improvement for sure. But I mean, these were just a standard axe handle that came on your Tasmanian patterns. So almost a straight handle, but not quite. And so you've got that slight curve right here. And it's almost a gradual curve that starts here, but the radius starts, somewhere in this range. So it's a slight radius from here to here. But I do like it. I went ahead and hung a Plum Michigan on there. So I don't know if that's a W in the vintage column or not, but I do like it. Now, let's take a look at a authentic vintage Collins replacement handle. So before Collins sold out, you could buy Collins replacement handles. And this, I can verify, was a Collins replacement handle. Now, it is a 36-inch long handle, but it is very, very thin this way. I mean, extremely thin this way. It's oblong, so you do have that. The quality isn't fantastic. There's a knot there, and the grain orientation is completely in the wrong direction. So it is not, it's not what axe snobs are gonna be drooling over. But a lot of the handles, the vintage handles that I find that have made it through, have bad grain orientation, and they still make it. So, don't hold on to the grain orientation as everything. It's not. I'll tell you what's everything is, number one, the user, and then number two, run out. So the user is going to be A in the scenario, and run out would be B. Grain orientation might be C. So the user is always going to be the issue there. But this is a big 5-pound Collins Dayton that I was able to get, and I went ahead and hung it on a Collins replacement handle, and it fit like they were made to go together. Not surprising, I guess, but no gaps, really nice. Same underneath, just clean all the way around. So I'd say this is a win in the vintage column. It's thin. The palm swell is nice. It does grab my palm there with a pinky. So it sits down on your hand right there, boom. But I think a lot of that has to do with the length of the palm swell here, and then how you're forced with that radius there to kind of, your hand's kind of forced into a position. Boom. Just sits down immediately. So I think there's something to be learned from that radius and that shape right there, and then this right here. From that point forward, this is a straight handle. That is a straight handle, except for the last 14 inches probably. So, we should take these things into consideration when looking at patterns, axe handle patterns. All right, guys, I think that does it when it comes down to it. We could look at one more axe handle pattern, but it doesn't exist anymore. They don't make the cruiser pattern of head or handle anymore. They do make a replacement cruiser handle, and I could show you that, but it's boxed up upstairs. I've got it getting ready to send to Heavy Set Tactical. So, but here's the handle that came off of that. This is a vintage Kelly Works handle, cruiser handle. much, much, much thinner and smaller than your modern box store handle. So I hope you guys enjoyed the overview of vintage versus modern axe handles, and I hope you'll join me next time, and I'll see you later. Thanks, guys. God bless.